Hi, this is Prometheus Pro, the maker of the Prohawk HUD, the heads-up display, and I am going to talk to you today about how to configure and wear the HUD for the first time and get it operating correctly for you. Now, when most people get the HUD, you'll get it in a folder. It'll have within it the HUD itself. It'll have the titler, which I'll go over in another video, some note cards and some other things. But the first thing you'll want to do is to wear that HUD. So I'm going to put it on now, and we'll watch it in action. So you'll see it start to unpack itself. Here's the HUD getting ready to go. Yours will look different from this one. Each game has its own custom look, feel, buttons, etc. But this is the one we're going to do for the demo. What I want to point out here is right at the top of the screen here, waiting on media display. And down here, initializing multimedia display. That's what I'll talk about right now. This is not the normal operation of the HUD. So what we're looking at is it basically trying to accomplish something and failing to do so. It's trying to open up the media display. It's not successful at it. And you can see what happens as we get this timeout. It says media timeout, switching to text mode for now. So what happened? What happened was the HUD first tries to open up a panel that drops below the main bar here into this area that holds on it a richer and more interactive web-based heads-up display menu system. But in order for that to run, in order for it to work, a couple of things have to be set correctly. Your PC has to allow it to happen, and your preferences have to be set right. And you'll notice that three things are mentioned here that could be the problem. One is your preferences aren't set right. Two, your viewer may simply not be compatible, some aren't. And or SL may just be having a bad day, which sometimes it just inexplicably causes problems and doesn't show this thing. We'll focus on this first one, the one of the preferences, because this by far is the most common issue that people have. So if you'd like to see or try or use the web-based panel and you're getting this problem, where you keep getting this timeout every time you wear the thing, you can try to adjust your settings, which I'll do right now. If I pull up my preferences, now I'm using Firestorm, so if you're using the SL viewer, it'll look a little different, but in either one, you can go to your sound and media options, and you'll find a button for allowing media to autoplay. This is the key setting that will allow the web page to be displayed upon the prim, upon the object that it's going to put on your screen. So we're going to check that on. I'm going to enable that setting, and I'm going to rewear the HUD. And let's watch what happens. What should happen is that the panel will drop down, and we'll be able to see the multimedia panel. And our wait will be far shorter. There it goes, and there's the panel. So this is the multimedia panel that the thing spends so long a time waiting for when it first starts up. If you don't have that setting enabled, you'll never see this. If you do, you might see this. Hopefully you will. But sometimes you won't. Sometimes even if you turn that setting on, the panel will still not appear correctly due to your PC settings or your viewer. Or at times you may simply not want to use it because it can be a little slower than the normal SL blue menus because it's loading a whole web page here and that kind of thing. So if you either do not want to use the panel, or if you cannot use the panel, you can do something about that. You can tell the HUD to not bother trying to load it. This is something that actually is in the tips that it gives you when it times out right here. You can prevent future attempts using the Set Web menu. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to use the Set Web menu. So let me pull the menu up. I'm going to go to Set right here. Then we're going to go to Web right here. And I can turn it off from here. There's three options on this screen. One is you can turn it on. Now right now it is on, we're looking at the web-based panel, but if it was not on, you could turn it back on or try it again by clicking on, and it will try to reinitialize this panel. The second option I'm not going to talk about today. You can actually pop this menu system out to an external browser if you want to, if you'd like to use the panel, but your viewer is just not letting it happen. But what we'll do right now is we'll turn it off. So we're going to turn the web interaction off, and from there, if I were to rewear the HUD again, like so, what we'll see is it will start up much like it did the very first time when it got the error, but you're not going to see the waiting. In fact, you didn't see any waiting at all. It fires right up, it puts your information into the chat, and you're done. It's ready to go. You don't get the beeping, you don't get the complaints. In summary, once you wear your HUD for the first time, there's really one of two settings that you want to use, one of two modes. The first mode, again, is just turn on the preference. If you click to allow the media to autoplay, and then re-wear your HUD or restart it with this little button here at the top right, that should allow that panel to drop down, and you're good to go from there. The other mode, if you cannot or choose not to use the panel, is to turn it off. Now I showed you through the menu, you can do the set, and you can do the web off, or you can do it on command line by issuing the command set web off. Either way, you'll be back to using the standard SL blue menus, like this one, and your information that would otherwise be shown on the panel will instead be put into your chat box like this. I tend to prefer the panel because the information, and I can do that by saying set web on, remember the on button. For me, I find that the information gets a little cluttered and gets a little spammy when it gets dumped into this chat box, especially when you're in the middle of RP, so I usually prefer, in fact, one of the reasons I designed this panel was to take this information, which is really the same info here and here, and to get it out of my chat box and put it somewhere else. And this is where I dumped it, onto this panel right here. So there you go. That's two ways of using the HUD. Hopefully one of the two will work for you well, and good luck using the system.